Victor, can you unmute yourself?
Oh, yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Find out who is the host now. Looks like Badmus, right?
Yes, I'm no longer the host again.
Okay.
So
So they have to make you a co-host, right?
No, it's fine. Everything is settled now. We need to start now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So do you want to let me ask him to unmute so that he can mute and unmute himself. And I'll leave him to start admitting people into the room.
Okay. Okay, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining our session. We'll begin in less than 1 minute. Let's just have more participants in the room. So we have more than 150 in the room, and I'm sure we'll have more people. So I think we're good to go. Yeah. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening once again. My name is Faidat Badamosi. If you can hear me, you can just type that in the chat box. You can hear me very well. Please type that in the chat box. Very excited that you're here today. Today is the iSI, iScholar Initiative Scholarship Information Session, and everyone here wants to be an iScholar in 2022. So you can imagine how tight the competition is going to be. So, but I must say that you're one step ahead, that you're attending this information session, because you would hear first-hand information from our previous alumni, and I'm sure this is going to help you in submitting competitive applications. Okay, so today we'll pretty much go through introductions, and then we'll talk about the iSI scholarship, evolution and value of award. How have we evolved over the years? What are projections in few years to come, and all of that, and the application process. And then we move on to listening to our previous iSI alumni to share their iSI scholarship application experience, which I believe you can't wait to hear. Then question and answers. So over the past week, we sent out a form to receive questions that you would like to get responses to. And a lot of people have shared so many questions with us, and we hope that we'll be able to go through as many. And also, as the session progresses, if you have questions, you can just put it in the chat box. You can send it directly to the chat name iScholar Initiative. And then we receive parting words and tips from our panelists and a closing remark. Okay, so now, okay, I'm your moderator. So my name is Faidat Badamosi, like I mentioned. I'm a 2019 iScholar and a graduate of the Premier University, University of Ibadan, Nigeria. And I'm currently a grad student at University of South Carolina, USA. And something very interesting about me and many other iScholars is that we actually hold roles in iSI. So I currently volunteer as the operations manager of iScholar Initiative. And so we're gathered here through iScholar Initiative, and you already know our vision and mission, but this is just to remind you. So we want to empower and mentor young African students to fulfill their dreams of grad school studies in world-class universities in different parts of the world. And we've been doing that because we have scholars who are currently in not just the USA, UK, Canada, Italy, Germany, Spain, UAE, Hong Kong, Thailand, so many places. We're everywhere. And in 2021, because we don't only focus on iScholars, we also try as much as possible to reach out to the public through our webinars and different sessions that we hold. 20 iScholars decided to create this book, which was published last year. So it's just an e-copy, and it's available for free on our website. If you're really looking for to applying to grad schools in 2022 or in 2023, whenever, this book is the best for you, honestly, not because I'm an iScholar, but because I know how much value this book can give to you. And it has templates on different things: academic CV, recommendation letters. Maybe you have referees that possibly don't know how to write their letters and all that. You could find a template here and share with them. So you can download it through the link on that. And so we move on to the iSI Scholarship Evolution and Value of Award, which would be taken by the iSI Secretary, Mr. Olufemi Fajolu. Mr. Fajolu.
You are on mute, Femi. Unmute yourself.
It needs to be a co-host to be able to unmute.
Oh.
I can't
Okay.
find his name.
Afis. Maybe Afis want to. Okay, Femi's name.
I've asked him to unmute himself.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, sir.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Badamosi. God bless you. Good morning, everyone. It's morning for me, and it's negative 10 degrees. Yeah, so I want to welcome you here. So what can you bring up my slides?
Yes.
Yeah, so when you talk about iSI, we've been in operations since 2019, and as you can see on the slides, in 2019 we only had about 20 candidates that we were able to sponsor, and that's out of the 43 people that applied. In 2020, we were able to increase the number of the candidates that we sponsored to 50, and not just sponsored those 50 for GRE, but we also added TOEFL and in some cases GMAT, and also our mentorship. So that same number was in existence for 2021, and we sponsored 50. We paid for GRE, we paid for GMAT, we paid for TOEFL, and of course the mentorship, which I'm going to be shedding more light on shortly. And in 2021, we moved further to begin to pay for application fees. And for those of you that are new to the system, when you apply to school, you have to pay application fees. And we discovered that that's also an impediment for a lot of our scholars. So we added it in 2021. And as you can see in 2022, we are increasing our number from 50. Now we feel that we are in a better shape financially, and we want to increase the number to 60. I think maybe somebody here out of the 200 plus or 500 plus that are watching this event might be like, wow, 60 out of 800. That should not scare you. What you should do is what I should do is to motivate you to make sure that you present as best as possible application. So that which will increase your chances of being selected among the 60s that will be winning their scholarship at the end of the day. Can you move to the next slide? So for those that will win the scholarship, ultimately win the scholarship. So I want to just run through what you will be getting when you win a scholarship. And the number one thing you'll be getting is this idea of paying for your GRE and TOEFL, which are standardized tests that are required for any grad school in the US or in Canada or in some other countries that you want to apply to. Not only that, like I mentioned earlier, we will be paying a predetermined amount for grad school application fees. What that means is we have an amount set aside for application fees, and some people might use that amount for one school. Some people might spread that amount over 3, 4, 5 schools, depending on the kind of school they select. Like I said, I want to mention the mentorship aspect of our scholarship, and this is actually not limited to our scholars. Our mentorship is a top-notch, and people that are outside our scholar group are even taking advantage of it. Faidat mentioned the idea of the book that our scholars have published. That one is available to everybody across the world. You can go there and read that book. But also, when you are selected as a scholar in our organization, you are assigned to a mentor that will guide you every step of the way and make sure that you are doing the right thing, you are following the process, you are meeting deadlines. And these are people that have been mentored themselves. So they know exactly what they went through and what benefit they derive from it. And finally, another benefit of our scholarship is you are connected to a pool of professionals that will guide you not just through grad school, but they will also provide you with guidance on how to apply for jobs when you graduate, on what to do with the certificate you are getting, because it is not just getting the certificate, but also making sure that you do the right thing with your certificate and making sure that they keep you in check, because there are a lot of somebody say they cannot hear me.
So you can hear you, sir.
Okay, thank you. So there are a lot of obstacles that could trip you along the way, but these professional networking or mentors will make sure that they keep you in line and keep you on track. So by so doing, you will not just be a good representative of your family, but a good representative of iScholar and a good representative of Nigeria. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Fajolu. And honestly, listening to this, if I were not an iScholar, I would just be like, I have to win this award. And just to highlight what Mr. Fajolu said about professional networking opportunities. So that's the beautiful thing about iSI. It's not just about paying your GRE and TOEFL and then you get an admission and then you just maybe come to the US and it just ends there. No, it does not end there, because iSI still gives you a professional mentor. So it's different from the mentor you get when you're applying. Now you have a professional mentor so that on your journey throughout grad school, you're well guided and all of that. So you can always get a job right after and all that. So anyways, Mr. Fadulu has done a great job telling you so much about the value of the iSI scholarship. So now we'll move on to the iSI scholarship application procedure for this year. And the Vice President Operations, Dr. Olukunle Ojeleye, would be taking this part. So, Dr. Oje.
Okay, thank you, Faidat. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for making time to attend this information session. I'll try to be brief as much as possible. But most importantly, I want you all to note one significant thing. This is the fact that you would be expected to comply with the requirements of the application process. When we say that you should put in an application on the portal, please do so. We will not be receiving applications, written applications by email in whatever form or shape whatsoever. When we ask you to submit anything online through the portal, please do so. Do not send an email because it will not be dealt with. So the applications portal itself would open. Hopefully, we intend to go live at some point tomorrow morning. And what we expect from you is to provide us with a personal statement, which would detail exactly why you want to, or why you are applying for this scholarship, so that we can gauge out of many people that will be applying who is actually in need of the funding that iScholar can provide. We will expect from you an examination study plan that gives us an indication that you are actually already thinking through how to take the tests that you are applying for, and what your preparation would be in terms of being able not just to sit for the exams or the tests, but to nail them. We would also be looking forward from you to receive a resume that gives us a general background of where you have been, what you are currently doing, and what your projection for the future is in terms of your career path. You will also need to provide the two references. One would be an academic reference, somebody who's taught you before in the university. And then there will be another one that will be a professional character reference for somebody who knows you, not from the academic perspective, but in terms of what you've done outside what we call extracurricular activities, what you've done outside the academic environment, whether in terms of volunteering, how in your own little ways you are impacting your immediate community and your society. But above all, we would expect from you that you will share with us copy of your first degree transcripts, and as well as any statement of result if you don't have the certificates issued by the university that you've attended. Next slide, Faidat. So this is simply our application timeline for 2022. Like I mentioned, the portal would open tomorrow and the portal will close exactly 4 weeks after, which will be on the 4th of February. If you do not complete the process end to end between this period, I'm afraid we won't be able to assess your application. As the Secretary, Mr. Fadulu, mentioned before, the last cycle, we had more than 800 applications. So and within the timeline that we have to review these applications and to make sure that every single application is actually looked into and judged accordingly without any prejudice whatsoever, it means that we need enough time to be able to review them. And as such, we have to make sure that we are very, very strict in terms of the timelines for submitting the applications. This is one of the reasons why it's important for you to attend this session, because once I finish my pep talk, Faydat and the other members of the group would be able to take you through what the expectation would be. They would direct you to where you can get more information that enables you to gather together everything you need within a few days, so that by the time you go on the portal, in reality, you should be able to submit or complete 80% or 85% of the process. And what will be left will be for you to actually be expecting your academic and professional referees to complete the reference forms that will be generated and sent to them electronically. So like I mentioned, the application portal will open tomorrow. It will close on the 4th of February, and we would have a review process between February and April 2022. And all things being equal, if we do not have any kind of delay whatsoever, and hoping that COVID does not mess anybody up again in terms of business processes in year 2022, we will be announcing the people who have been able to scale through for the award on the 2nd of May 2022. And essentially, that's the overview of the application timeline and the application process. You would have the opportunity later on in this session to ask questions. I can see a lot of people already posting questions. Is this limited to graduates only and the rest of this? And those questions will be answered later on in the session. Thank you very much. And I look forward to welcoming some of you as our scholars for the 2022 cycle. Back to you, Faydat.
Awesome. Thank you so much for doing justice to that, sir. I see a lot of questions in the chat box already. Please, we'll do our best to go through every question. And so we're going to be starting with questions that you've shared with us in the past week. And if you still don't get a response as we proceed with this session, then I think you can post your question again, because the chat box is getting really full. So right now, move on to the panel session with our iSI alumni. So we've got Ogona Emenaha. Ogona, I'm sorry if I do not pronounce it so well. He's a 2020 I scholar and currently joining us from Europe. And we've got Mercy Ojetunde, a 2020 I scholar joining us from the UK. And we have Oluwatobi Ogundepo, 2021 I scholar, who is joining us from Nigeria, but coming to the US soon. And we have Elizabeth Ogunleye. She's a 2021 I scholar too, joining us in North America or Europe or any part of the world soon. And we have got Gifts. Gifts Modekwe is a 2021 I scholar. So I'll also plead with us to try not to annotate on the screen. So try not to make drawings and all that on the screen. So first, Ogona, are you on the call?
Yes, I am. Good
evening. Awesome. Yeah. Mercy, are you there?
Yes, I am here.
Good. Oluwatobi.
Yes, I'm here. Good afternoon, everyone.
Okay, good afternoon. Elizabeth, are you on the call? Okay, she's actually on the call. Okay, great. And Gifts, are you on the call possibly? Okay, I believe is on the call too. So we've got them here to respond to questions that you have. But before we proceed to answering the questions that you have, it would be good for them to share their iSI scholarship application experience. So we're just going to do this going from 2021 to 2020 to 2021 to 2020 that way. So I would ask Toby to start. Toby, could you please share your experience with applying for iSI, the journey, and then how you won the scholarship? All of this within 2 minutes.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes, can hear you.
Okay, that's fine. Good afternoon, everyone. Everybody that is in Nigeria, good afternoon. And to the people that are in the US, good morning. And good afternoon, good morning to the VP and people that have spoken earlier. First of all, I want to say this time last year I was in this space too. I was attending this kind of meeting, and I wanted to learn how I can win the iSI. Especially me, I finished with a 2-1, not the first class. So I was, there's this sense of when you finish with 2-1, you want to think, okay, you are less competitive. But then I realized, please, can you hear me? Someone is saying they can't hear.
We can hear you, Toby.
Go ahead, Toby.
Okay,
We can hear you.
Thank you so much, sir. Okay, so I was having this discouragement that, okay, having a 2-1 and there's a first class, so how can I become competitive and all of that? But then I realized that this grad school of a thing is not first of all about first class or 2-1 kind of a thing. It's about are you interested in what you want to do? Do you have experience in it? So those things are the things that kind of make you competitive. So for iScholar, I had no idea. I mean, I just attended this meeting last year, and I attended. I wanted to apply for it. Although I was a little bit skeptical, I had to speak with someone, and the person encouraged me. But then I applied, and one of the things I believe that helped me was my experience. I was working in a field that I want to go and study in, so that makes it more easy for me to write my SOP, to tailor my SOP, because I'm already kind of in a company that does what I want to study in grad school. So I believe that's like one of the things that really helped me. So applying for the whole iScholar, as a matter of fact, I already had plans to get my passport. I had plans to write GRE and TOEFL and everything. So when it came to writing the plans and all of that, I didn't have any issue already. That means you're serious with your grad school journey, and you should have a plan already on how to achieve it. So by the time you're writing your plan and your SOP and everything, it's more or less like you're writing into the grad school, but this time around you're writing to iScholar, because iScholar is going to take you in, and even if you're granted the opportunity.
Okay. We understand that. So we can see Toby sharing his experience, and one thing that I took note of is that
from Faida.
Okay.
I remember from Faida, don't self-reject yourself, because you have 2-1. Of course, 2-1 is a criteria. So 2-1 first class. So whether you have 2-1 or not, self-reject yourself, because anything can happen naturally. So I think I'm done. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Toby. And I hope we've answered some of the questions you have about whether someone with a 2-1 has a chance to get the iSI scholarship or not. Toby, talking to you, finished with a 2-1 and is an iScholar. So really, from all he has shared, you should have already started preparing your application materials for this scholarship. Okay, so now we'll move on to Mercy. Mercy, please go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Good evening, everyone. So from my experience, I applied for this iSI scholarship. That was in 2020, and I was already done with my NYC. So I got the information during my NYC, and because I had a plan of going to graduate school immediately after my NYC. So I worked on my application. I was working on my essays during that period. And, just immediately after my NYC, I had to submit my application. But, before submitting my application, I already had in mind that I was going to submit a very strong application, because you are submitting an application to a graduate school, and, you want to put in your very best. So I made sure that I put in my best. I wrote my essays. I had relevant experiences, because graduate school too, we also look at those things before they can say, okay, let's invest money into, on this person. So I made sure I had relevant experiences. I garnered a lot of experience. Then I also had volunteering experiences, leadership experiences. So these are all these things, the graduate school committee and even iSI will look at, okay, that this person is worthy of this scholarship. So you have to be ready. And even if you are still in school, undergrad, you have to, to be up and doing. You have to work very hard. get a lot of experience. Even if you don't have that industrial experience, you can take some online courses. I remember that I took some online courses then before my application. So I put
Okay.
all this into my application, and eventually I got the scholarship. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for motivating us, Mercy. And there is something Mercy said about NYSC. So I hope people that have question about when to apply for iSI, whether you can apply, should it be after your NYSC or during your NYSC or something? She applied during our NYSC. So I hope that she gave response to that. And she also told us so much about gaining experiences. Don't limit yourself to what you're being taught in school. That's almost like the point. Yeah. So now I'll move on to Elizabeth. Can you
hear me?
Oh yes, I can hear you.
Okay, good evening everyone from Nigeria, and good morning Faidat, good morning VP. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Go
Okay,
ahead.
to talk about my ISI scholarship experience, this, as Toby said, this time last year I was in a meeting like this too, and I was trying to get information about how to submit a very strong application, and I got a lot from the meeting. I studied psychology, that's a social science course. So I believe this should also answer some people's question. Is this scholarship for only science course related, science course, this psychology? So I was a little bit skeptical, like, would I be very competitive? Because I know programs like this, scholarship like this, they look out for only science courses. Well, I spoke with a friend, like an alumni, a 2019 scholar, and they encouraged me that I can put in my application if I'm sure I want to go for graduate studies, and I'm sure I'll submit a very strong one. So I did. Around January, I started reaching out to my lecturers to submit applications for me, to submit recommendations for me. So they would meet up with the deadline. I had relevant experience. During my MIC, I worked as a graduate assistant in a university in psychology department. So my experiences were tailored to what I wanted to do for graduate studies. So it was very easy for me to tailor my SOP because everything was just aligning. It was just aligning. I wrote my SOP. I got my recommenders to get letters for me. I wrote my exam study plan and I submitted my application. Fingers crossed, hoping I would get in. And in May, I figured I got in. So that's my experience.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Elizabeth. So Elizabeth is a graduate of psychology. That sort of tells me that ISI is not only for STEM students, it's not only for science, tech, engineering, and math. Non-STEM students can also apply for the ISI scholarship and win it. Just put in a very competitive application. And like you said, fingers crossed. So Ogona, would you share your ISI application experience?
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Faidat. Good evening from this end. Yeah, like every other person had said earlier, basically, I got okay. I got the ISI scholarship in 2020. I am 2020 I scholar, and one of the very few things that I know, basically, that has been my biggest or the biggest motivation for me so far in the last couple of years is the fact that I got an ISI scholarship. And that is very instructive for me because, yes, I got a good result at the time I graduated, and I just wanted to just exist as at 2020 because I really felt that getting to study outside the shores of Nigeria or getting to study in any of my dream schools would require me, to make some level of extra pushes, which I really did not want to make as at that time. And so I just wanted to just be. But getting ISI scholarship was basically the first major push I had as a young graduate at that time. Yeah, I'm still young. As a young graduate at that time, basically, when I got a scholarship, basically, one of the very few things my mentor that was assigned to me told me that very time, she said that because when we're awarded, like every other person here who would be awarded, you will be assigned a mentor who will mentor you through the entire process of your application. She told me that that you have been accepted into a scholarship program like iSI means that you can be accepted to any university in the world because you came in on merit. As at the time I was going to apply, quite frankly, I had lots of doubts in my heart. Like I was wondering, I was basically very skeptical. Like what really could be the possibility of me being accepted on a scholarship system like this? Because I'm used to the experience of, you know, the Nigerian thing where if you apply for something, it's very unlikely that you could be awarded if you don't know someone who knows somebody, or if you don't have some level of connections. But iSI was basically the first 100% merit-based scholarship I got that made me realize that whatever it is you want to get done as far as your graduate dreams are, you can get it done. So the mentorship I got within those few months I was with my mentor in iSI, and I mean, opened me up to a whole world of opportunities, quite frankly. So basically what I would just say is, for everyone here who has intentions or who is probably dreaming of wanting to go and study abroad, or you have intentions of going out, you know, to do beautiful things in terms of graduate studies, I think you are in very safe hands in iSI, because my last few months of my last year experience in iSI has taught me that you can actually get whatever you so desire to get, provided you are willing to pay the price for it. And trust me, it's going to be a wonderful experience. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ogbonna. And I would just want to re-echo what he said about iSI scholarship being 100% on merit basis. And his mentor telling him that if he could get into iSI, he could get into any school in the world. And honestly, in iSI, we have scholars in Stanford, Cornell, Imperial College, different parts of the world, different world-class universities. So the sky is the starting point. I don't think it's the limit. Yeah, anyways, thank you so much, guys, for sharing your iSI scholarship application experience. So now we're going to move on to the question and answer. You've sent us so many questions. There are a lot of questions in the chat box, but I hope that you've gotten some responses to some of them at least, because I'm still seeing a question about NYSC and the likes, but I hope we're able to go over that. So for the question and answer, we put this into two buckets: the application requirements and just general questions. So based on application requirements, the first question is about the personal statement. Now, this person is asking if the personal statement, the 500-word personal statement that is requested by iSI, should this be based on the school he or she wants to apply in the US, or it should be written based on why he or she needs the iSI scholarship? So I'd say, Mercy, could you respond to this? What was your personal statement like when you applied?
Okay. When I was applying for the iSI scholarship, knowing fully well that iSI was to sponsor my TOEFL and my GRE exams, so I had to let them know my intention of getting into graduate school soon and my plans. And then I had to also bring in a kind of emotions into the statement of purpose, like, you know, no funding, and, you know, you just have to get into graduate school, add some proofs. So in my personal statement, I just made sure that I prove to them that, yes, I'm the right candidate for this scholarship because I intended into getting into graduate school. And I also made sure that I used the STAR approach. Like when I was in the undergrad, I had to let them know that, okay, the situation was like this, and this was the action I took. But despite the fact that I had this challenge during my undergrad, I was able to overcome this. I was able to overcome and came out with a very good grade. So not minding the situation, I had to just let iSI know that, okay, I need the TOEFL, I need the GRE exam, and, you know, I had to bring in emotions into it, but not too much, but make sure that I I made my intentions known. Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you. So bringing a lot of emotions into it does not mean you should lie about something, you know? So to add to what she has said, if you're writing your personal statements, from my own experience, I would say that you should try to make your personal statements all encompassing. Write it like you're submitting it to a grad school in the US, and also you should mention why you need the iSI scholarship, maybe in one paragraph or something, because it's a need-based scholarship. If you don't let them know why you should be selected, or why this scholarship would not be without the scholarship you can achieve so many other things, then it just shows maybe you have other ways of funding your exam, and getting mentorship. Yeah, so to the next question: how should I write my examination study plan? What are the ways to get it done? So I've seen a lot of questions about study plan in the chat box. So if you ask any question related to study plan, please get your notes and your pen, which I know you've had the whole session, and start writing. Toby, how do you think people should write their examination study plan? Can you hear me? Okay, that's possibly the network. So Elizabeth, can you take this? Okay, I understand. Oh, yes, I can hear you. Go on.
Faidat, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Go on.
Okay, so I'm very passionate about this. I'll just say how I did my own examination study plan. I talked about my target score. I had a proposed target score. Then I talked about the materials I would be using for my exams, because many of us want to write this exam, but we don't know the right material to use. So the admission committee, the scholarship committee has to know that you're serious about this exam. So I talked about the materials I was going to read. Then I had a breakdown. Like I did a week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4. I talked about the duration. Was I preparing for 3 weeks? Was I preparing for 4 weeks? Was I doing 1 month, 2 months? So I talked about everything. And for each week, I had what I was covering. Was I covering this material in the first week? Was I doing this in the second week? Was I taking a diagnostic test in this week? So I talked about everything, not per day. I don't know how others would do their own, but I did mine. I'm talking about how I did mine. So I talked about it weekly. Then I talked about my target score, and also my target score for my TOEFL exam. So that was basically what I did for my examination study plan.
Awesome. I think that's like almost the best tip that you could get. Making it weekly or monthly or daily or however shows that you have a clear plan. As long as you're writing your examination study plan, you want to make sure that it's as clear as possible. If you have a target score of 340, your study plan is showing how you would get to that 340. So please try to make your examination study plan clear. It's not about the volume or how much words that you have in it. Just make sure it's clear and it is practical. So the next question, so is language proficiency test important for the iSI scholarship application? So we saw this question and we were wondering, but I'm sure a lot of people also have this on their mind. Ogona, did you possibly have to submit a language proficiency test when you were applying for the iSI scholarship?
No, I did not have to. Yeah, I actually agree with you that it's quite a funny question, because, but it's actually okay to ask it anyway. The idea behind the iSI is we want to fund you for language proficiency tests. Yeah. So it's assumed that you don't have the funding for such, or you don't have the test in the first place. So it doesn't really, it really wouldn't make sense if we're asking for language proficiency test if we're going to sponsor you for the same language proficiency test. So iSI basically is going to take care of that. You are fully covered. So you don't need any form of proof of English proficiency from anybody when you are applying for iSI scholarship.
Yeah, thank you so much for doing justice to that. The next question, Toby, are you available now? So it's about referees. Please stop annotating on the screen. Thank you. Do my recommenders need to use the department letterhead for the recommendation letter or not? Elizabeth, I'll still call on you now because in 2021 we started using the iSI portal. So did your referees have to use a department letterhead when they were submitting the reference for you? We understand, I'm sure we all understand the internet and connectivity issues in the other part of the world. So I think I'll just take this on. So when you log into when you try to submit your iSI application and you get to the referee's part, you only need to put your referee's email address and they'll automatically receive a reference request on your behalf. So the email that you put in is the email that they would get the reference request, and they would have to go online to fill a reference form for you. So they don't have to submit or upload a letter on a department letterhead. There is a box there for them to fill in everything they want to say about you and respond to all of those kind of stuff. So you don't need a department letterhead when you're applying for the iSI scholarship. Now, to the next question, do I need an international passport before applying for iSI scholarship? Mercy, what would your response be to this?
Okay, thank you very much for that. Before applying for iSI scholarship, well, already because I had intentions of getting into graduate school, I already had my international passport. But you don't need to get an international passport before applying. You can get it after application, but it's not a must you have an international passport before you apply, because it won't be like a requirement for your iSI scholarship application. So you can do it after, since you have the intention of getting into graduate school, because you will need it for your GRE exams and also grad school application. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Mercy. And there is something that they used to say: if you're very serious about applying to grad school, the very, very first document you should already have is your international passport. So, but anyways, for the iSI scholarship, at the time of application, you do not need to have an international passport. So the next question. So, what kind of CV or resume do I need to apply for this scholarship? Toby, again, are you back? Okay, I think we have Gift on the call already. Gift, would you be able to respond to this? What was your resume or your CV or resume like? Afis, could you make him a co-host or unmute him? Thank you. Okay, I apologize for the break in transmission and all of that, but we all understand what's happening in the other part of the world, right? Yeah, so again, I'll have to go to Ogonna to please share what kind of CV or resume he used to apply for the iSI scholarship.
All right. Yeah, you can hear me, right? Sorry.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah. There is no specific CV format that I think iSI requires you to submit. Although, yeah, some graduate schools will be specific about what you should, like the format you should take. But for iSI, I don't think there's a specific format. But what I think is very important is that you have a CV that, as much as possible, represents your person. My iSI mentors at 2020 would always tell myself and my group that one of the few things that will speak for you in any committee, like in any committee considering your application when you are not there, is your CV. That is the very first thing they're going to see before they even start reading your personal statement or other things, right? So when you are constructing your CV, as much as possible, it should be a reflection of everything you have achieved you know, and should mirror your strengths in terms of, I mean, your experiences in terms of your research experience, your educational background, your technical competencies. I think this basically is the core of iSI, and they would very much want to work with people who can demonstrate all these things through their CV. I think, sorry, I'll keep on telling you about what my ISI mentor told me in 2020. But one of the few things she also told me, because I worked very closely with the words she gave me, is that you shouldn't feel too entitled to anything, especially when you're writing your CV. When I say you shouldn't feel too entitled, for most of us who had first class and probably got a very good 2-1 or something, we were the best students in our class, the highest in the university, the best thesis in Africa and all that. We always want to overwrite all these things in our CV, forgetting that they are also very important parts of yourself that should be there. That you got a first class degree, in as much as it gives you a leverage, all right, to it gives you a relatively good leverage, basically, to probably get what you want. It doesn't mean that you tend to ignore every other part of your life. It doesn't give you an entitlement directly that, okay, I got a first class, I should get this award. My ISI mentor will always tell us then that nobody will fund you. Nobody will give you a scholarship because you claim you are very intelligent, but they will give you a scholarship if you tell them that you have good prospects. And that is what I think your CV should be able to mirror. Should be able to talk about what you have done in the past. If you probably have a great point that is not too competitive, then you should be looking about getting professional competencies. Go and do online courses. You have 4 weeks before the application closes. So you can still go and get some extra certifications. You can still go and learn some extra skills, which can help to strengthen whatever thing you want to communicate with your CV. And as much as possible, they are very, very, very profound or very good CV formats, standard formats across the world that you can choose to go with. One of the formats that I used is the Harvard standard format, and that was what my mentor then taught us to use. And as much as possible, you should construct your CV in a way that it really looks original. Because most of the time, the mistake that many people tend to do is that we go on the internet, we go on Google, and then we use Google CV. You just impute your name, you impute this thing, and then you will see a lot of graphs in your CVs, and then you are wondering exactly where is the information that this person wants to pass across. So as much as you can, don't fall for the very tempting and easy way out, where I could just go and write, I had this thing, I had this, I put in your name and your phone number and all that, and then Google creates a CV for you. Be original, take out your time. You have 4 weeks until the end of the application. You have all the time, basically, to give yourself a very good boost in terms of your CV. That is, all there is.
Thank you so much for talking extensively about that. And just like you mentioned, in summary, I can just say what he's trying to tell you is the world does not need a nerd again. The world is looking for an all-rounder. So it's not only your first class that we want to see. We want to see things beyond that. And I mentioned before about the iScholar guide. If you go to the iScholar guide, in the academic resume part, there is actually a template, an academic CV or resume template. So you're lucky you're attending this session because I'm telling you about a template now. That's a template that you could also adapt. Doesn't mean that if you use that, you're going to get the scholarship. I didn't say that. Now to the next question. So I've written the GRE. Can I apply for the TOEFL standardized test during the application? Yes, you can actually apply for, if you've written the GRE before, but maybe you cannot fund your TOEFL. When you're applying for the iSI scholarship, there is actually a box that allows you to state the exams you want ISI to fund for you. So if you've written your GRE before, that's fine. You could just state that you want funding for TOEFL, and we consider that. That's pretty much it. Yeah, so that's on application requirements. So next we move on to general questions about your secrets or the tips and strategies that you have or you use to win the ISI scholarship and all of that. So the first question here on my screen is, What lessons did you learn during the whole process, and how has this impacted your life? Seems to be a personal one. Mercy, could you keep this short within 30 seconds to 1 minute?
Okay, thank you very much. Before my iSI scholarship application, I already submitted some applications to some schools in the US, and I didn't get it. So during the iSI application, I was like, oh, will I get it or will I not? But I had to make sure that I put in more effort. So the lessons I've learned so far is that I should, or generally that the lessons I learned was that I should just keep pushing, keep moving, and keep adding value to myself. Not just resting or, oh, I finished with the first class, or, okay, I think I have enough. But I kept on, investing, and I kept on adding values to my life. I kept on working harder. It's helped, it's actually made my application stronger. Even after submitting iSI application, and I also submitted for other scholarship applications, it made my application strong. So people should not don't reject yourself, don't give up easily, do more. Even if you have had some experiences, just continue doing more, just continue adding to yourself relevant experiences, keep gathering those relevant experiences. Yeah, relevant in the sense that it's towards your career, towards your dream and your vision. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mercy. So please, everybody has been mentioning one thing in all they've been saying, and that is don't self-reject yourself. Don't ever self-reject yourself from any opportunity. That's the worst thing you can do to yourself. Okay, so to the next one. So Gift is currently on the call now, and everyone has shared their experiences and all that. So Gift, can you hear me? You should be able to unmute yourself now. Okay.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Okay, yes, I can hear you. Yes. So just in 1 minute, could you possibly share your iSI scholarship application experience and what the iSI journey has been like for you so far?
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I would say first, getting the iSI scholarship for me was it was a big thing. It was really a big deal because it gave me the confidence I needed for grad school application. I knew I could apply for grad school, but prior to getting iSI, I was afraid. I had many fears. Would I be able to really give people or the admission committee what they needed? And then when I wrote my essay and I gave someone to read, and he saw it and he said, wow, you have a very good shot. Try iSI and you would get it. And when I finally got iSI, it was the firm confidence I needed for application. So iSI represented the leap of faith for my applications. So the scholarship experience has been wow. I've gotten to meet persons, meet mentors who have taught me about what I need in this application. And the mentorship for me is top notch because that's one thing iSI, when you come and you see people that have done it before and they are still willing and ready to guide you, it gives you motivation. So for me, iSI has been really a great making process, and I am still enjoying the best from it.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that with so much passion. So is having a second class offer a limiting factor in being chosen for the scholarship? So Toby has kind of talked about this when he was sharing his experience, but for those that were possibly not on the call when he was sharing his experience, Toby, your response to this, do you think having a second class offer is a limiting factor in being chosen for the iSI scholarship?
Okay.
We can hear you, but you gotta speak louder a bit. Okay, Toby is really having a big battle with the connection. So I'll just respond to that quickly, reiterating what you said earlier. Having a second-class offer is not a limiting factor in being chosen for the iSI scholarship, except you choose to limit yourself. So if you have a second-class offer or it's an holistic review of every requirement that we've shared. So if you feel like your second-class offer is sort of bringing you down, then push yourself in another path. That's why it's an holistic review. Okay. To the next one. Does winning the iSI scholarship mean I am admitted to study abroad? Well, Elizabeth, what would you say about this?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. There's only the it's not a straight yes, definitely, because grad school is way more than just getting into the iSI scholarship. You have to apply to schools, you have to submit applications, you have to send in recommendation letters from your recommenders, and you're competing, for ISL now, you're competing with fellow Nigerians. When it comes to studying outside the country, you're competing with people from different parts of the world. You're competing with people from Asia, people from North America, people from Africa, people from Nigeria. So it's you against many people. So it's not an automatic yes that okay, I got into ISI. So yes, I'm going to get admitted into the school. I want to say it's not an automatic yes.
Thank you so much. So, like you mentioned, it's not an automatic yes, but I would tell you that if you are able to get into ISI, you would be able to get fully funded offers abroad. So it's really, really up to you. And the next question is the ISI scholarship initiative limited to students who are interested in studying in the USA? So just to answer this question, I'm just going to allow Ogona and Mercy. I'm just going to ask you one question. Where are you currently, Mercy?
Okay, I'm currently in the UK.
You're currently in the UK. Great. Ogona, where are you?
I'm in Belgium.
Oh, you're in Belgium. Okay. And
yes.
Then we have other iScholars on the
basically.
call that I would have loved to ask them where they are right now. So we have someone in UAE and all of that. I hope our short role play has answered this question. So ISI is not limited to students who are interested in studying in the USA only, any part of the world. Okay. To the next question. Can I apply for ISI scholarship while serving, or do I have to wait till I'm done with service? So we already responded to this question earlier. Mercy said she applied while she was serving. I applied for ISI while I was serving too. And then some people applied when they were done with service. And some people applied before they started serving. But the thing is, if you apply before you start serving, if you're selected for the ISI scholarship, then you should be able to show your NYSC call-up letter or something. Okay, so I hope that gives a good answer to this question. How do I prepare a strong application as a non-STEM student? So I guess this is for Elizabeth, who is a non-STEM student. So what advice would you give this person?
Okay, the first advice I would give someone that's sending a strong application, I would say do not be discriminative. Don't see yourself as a non-STEM student. See yourself as a student applying to iScholar, ISI. So don't say I'm a non-STEM. It's already an automatic no for me. Don't see yourself that way. See yourself as an applicant. See yourself as an applicant. It gives you the equal number of chance that a STEM student also have. To see yourself as an applicant. Do what you feel you can do. Like do the best you can do. Then submit the application. That's all I can say.
Okay, thank you so much, Elizabeth, there is something about what you tell yourself. So just like she mentioned, don't see yourself as a non-STEM student. See yourself as an applicant. Whether you're competing with STEM or non-STEM, don't do that. Just see yourself as an applicant and put in your best. Okay. So this would be the final question here, and then we can take questions that you've been posting in the chat box and all of that. Oh, this is a repeated one. Does winning the iSI scholarship mean I'm admitted to study abroad?
No.
It's not an automatic yes. You still need to do the work. That's why iSI is coming into your life. iSI will come into your life to mentor you, to empower you, to help you get fully funded opportunities to study abroad. So now we will take questions in the chat box, and I trust that my other iScholars on the call, they've been doing justice to responding to most of your questions. You can try to retype your question so that we can ask. And if you're joining us on YouTube, you can post the question that you have. Okay. I'm sorry, I see that a lot of people have been raising their
so someone asked about what is the minimum CGPA. I don't know if we have talked about that.
Okay, the minimum CGPA. Okay, so we've been talking about CGPA, first class, second class, upper, and all of that. So the minimum CGPA is a second class upper, a second class upper grade. That's the minimum required to apply for the iSI scholarship.
So is this for PhD or just for masters? So that's another question that I think we should address.
Okay, so whether it's for PhD or just masters, so when you join iSI, you get to decide whether you're applying for masters or PhD, though we usually recommend that you apply for a PhD. But we have iScholars that are in different. Mercy is a current master's student. I think Ogona is also a current master's student. I'm a current PhD student. So it's not only for masters, it's not specifically masters or PhD, it is what you want to do. I saw a question about HND being eligible to apply. So if you go to the iSI website, we have a scholarship applications, frequently asked questions, FAQ section, and we've tried to respond to as many questions that you may have there. So HND students with distinction are eligible to apply for the iSI scholarship. Okay. So
somebody just graduated and their transcript is not ready, and what can they use in place of that?
Okay, yes, I think I've also seen a lot of questions about transcripts, whether official or unofficial scholarship transcript. So it depends on what you call official, unofficial in your school. Now, official transcripts typically are transcripts that would directly go from your university to the organization that you're applying. Maybe your university to the grad school or something. Now, iSI allows you to submit your transcript by yourself. You have to upload it. So you can use the unofficial transcript that you receive from your school, but make sure that your transcript is signed and stamped, and be a person of integrity.
Okay, can somebody who wants to sponsor themselves be admitted to iSI or be offered the mentorship?
Okay, can someone who wants to sponsor themselves? Well, iSI is trying to broaden the opportunity for as many people as possible. So if you're able to sponsor yourself and you only need mentorship, iSI is able to take you in and assign a mentor to you. So that's possible. You can reach out to us via our email and take it from there. Panelists, you're still on the call. We're still with you. We're going to send some questions to you soon, so we don't spend too much time. We're trying to take as many questions as possible. Yeah. So I think that we have been able to take as many questions as possible. If we've not responded to your question, you can try to repost it. So there's a question about whether we sponsor IELTS or TOEFL. I think that's on YouTube. So currently we fund TOEFL standardized tests and not really the IELTS. So there's a question about whether there would be an online test for iSI applicants. So in the iSI, like I mentioned, you can go to the website and see the application FAQs. There's a question there about interview or test. If it is required, we could have test or interview. So I hope that answers your question. Okay. So another thing to take note of is in the iSI application requirement, it says your first degree transcript. So if you have a master's, you should still upload your first degree transcript. Okay, that's your bachelor's. Okay, so that's why you should sort of follow the application requirements as much as possible. Okay. So if you can, you're asking if you can use your statement of result pending your pending when you receive your transcript. Now, on the application requirements, you would see that we are requesting for your first degree transcript and your first degree certificate or statement of results. So you actually need both.
So what if you had a 2-2 at BSc, distinction, master's, and you are interested in PhD? Can you apply?
Well, I would put that to Dr. Oje if he's still on the call.
Yeah, Dr. Oje has excused himself. He had to.
This is.
Okay,
Mr. Dr. Akobi is here. Yeah, great.
Good, good.
Dr. Akobi will do
go
that.
ahead.
I would say no.
Yes, I suppose.
Yeah, because the reason being the metrics is based on 2-1 and above.
Yes.
So if you have a 2-2, you're probably going to score 0 on that part of the metrics for transcript consideration.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir. For people on YouTube, I hope you're following and we've been responding to your questions. Someone is asking about CV templates. If you can get a CV template or personal statement template from us. So we cannot give you that directly, but we've given it to the world through our iScholar Guide, the Grad School Journey Compass. So if you go to the iScholar Guide, you would see CV templates, and I think we have something on statement of purpose and recommendation letters and all of that. So
okay,
try to download. It's for free. It's on the iSI website for free.
So somebody just asked a very good question here. So their school doesn't give transcripts to students, either official or non-official, and they have all records of their grades and their official certificates. What would they do?
Okay, so I'm going to post this to Toby. Toby, are you on the call? Because I think Unila possibly has something like that. Also, Elizabeth, can you possibly respond to that?
Please, can you take the question again?
Yes. So for schools that they don't give the students official transcripts, but then you have like a record of your grades or your scores over the years, what do you think they can do? Did you get your official transcript from your school? What did you use to apply for iSI and all that?
I didn't use my official transcript because I wasn't given it yet. I used the student copy on my portal to apply.
Okay. So I hope that answers your question. So some schools don't give the official transcripts, yes, but we can all go to the portal and download our grades or our scores over the years or something. So that is still acceptable. But don't forget academic integrity. Okay, so the next question. So I'm so glad that we actually have undergraduates on the call. And it just shows that you're already motivated and you already know what you want to do. So even if you cannot apply for the iSI scholarship this year, I believe you can apply next year. And I'm sure that the knowledge you've gained from here today would be very valuable when you finally want to apply. If you're raising your hand, I'm sorry, we cannot unmute. So you would have to type your question in the chat box. Thank you. And for questions about your referees, your what kind of email your referees should use and all that. So your referees don't have to use the official email. So when you're filling the application form online, you can put your referee's Gmail or Yahoo Mail or something. And please don't forget that the reference deadline, there is no special deadline. The final deadline for us to receive every single thing, whether your recommendation letters or your other documents and all that, is February 4th. So please ensure that you have everything ready by then. So we'll try to answer more questions within the next 10 minutes. I still see a lot of questions about NYC. So the good thing about this is this session is going to be available on our YouTube channel. So if you didn't join us from the start, you can always go back to our YouTube channel and watch the session again. Okay. So I think we're doing well. So if we did not get to your question or something, you can try to repost it again. Okay, so there's someone that's been asking about the details for the application. Is there a link or are we filling a form? Yes, there is a link, and yes, you're filling a form. So it's on the iSI website, ischolarinitiative.org. If you go to the iSI website, you would see at the top left, apply for iSI scholarship, or if you scroll on any part of the website, you will see apply for iSI scholarship. So that's all you need to click, and then you would gain access to the iSI application portal.
Yeah, but not before tomorrow though, right?
Yeah, not before tomorrow. The application portal opens tomorrow. Okay. So you want us to give you tips on writing an examination study plan. So Elizabeth shared that already. So I'd advise you that after the session, you go back to our YouTube channel to watch again. So it seems we've been able to respond to most of the questions.
Sorry, Faida. I think that's an important question that I saw somewhere.
Okay.
Somebody was asking if they have to write separate study plan for TOEFL and GRE. So you might want to respond to that.
Okay, so separate study plan for TOEFL and GRE. So I'll refer to what Elizabeth said. When she applied for iSI scholarship last year, she actually entered, because on the iSI website, you're not uploading your plan, you're typing it in. So she entered a plan for a GRE and also the plan for TOEFL. You want to make sure your plan is as clear as possible. So if you're applying for GRE and TOEFL, you want to make a plan for GRE and TOEFL. I hope that responds to your question. So as it seems, we've responded to as many questions as possible. So I see a lot of undergraduates on the call, and again, I am glad and I feel like you're so motivated. So I'm going to charge the ISI management committee to actually maybe we need to do something for the undergrads, because someone is saying no provision for the undergrads. Yeah. So is the CV going to be uploaded or typed? So you're going to have to type your CV and resume. On the iSI application portal, you have to type your personal statement, your examination study plan, your CV or resume, and there is another column for other skills and experiences or career goals. So the thing is, for a lot of people that, you know, they have so much to write, 500 words is not enough. You can use that other column to enter other details that you want the iSI review team to know. But I would advise you, keep your personal statement to 500 words. Okay.
So I saw a question that someone kept repeating. It's about if TOEFL date is before the result of iSI comes out. I mean, I've been preparing. I want to write TOEFL because of a deadline. I have this deadline first before iSI result. So I said basically, I think basically what they're asking is like they have a deadline to meet, and they know iSI winners list may not come out before their deadline. So they are thinking maybe we can short circuit the process and grant them.
Okay. So the thing is, we actually work with a timeline. So we would only be able to announce our results in May. And that's
if we have to accommodate everybody's deadline, then we don't have a process in place.
Yes. So I'll try to keep checking the chat box, but would now want our panelists to share the final tips. What do you think was something you did differently when you were applying for iSI scholarship? So what do you think? You know, sometimes you apply for an opportunity and you'd be like, I did this thing so well. Like this particular stuff, I did it so well, and I know I can get this. So can you give us that secret ingredient or something? So let's start with Mercy.
Okay, thank you so much for that, and other members of the group. So what I did differently, okay, for my personal statements, I had to make sure that my intention was known. Then I also made sure I included relevant experiences and other experiences I've had that will, give me a point or give me an advantage, to getting the scholarship. So I was able to, tell them why I was applying for the scholarship, and also what I want to do afterwards, after getting the scholarship, and all the experiences I've also garnered. I was able to include that in my personal statement. So I think that was what made me an outstanding student for the scholarship. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for sharing that, Mercy. So now move on to Gift. Gift, would you share your secret ingredient? Sorry, I'm calling it that.
All right, thank you. I think one of the things that helped me was that I started early. I started very early. I started getting all my materials for application when I saw the results released the year before. That is May 2020. Yes, because we are 2020. We got to in 2021. So I got all my materials and I started writing my statement of purpose. And my SOP, I tried to tell my own story the same way it reflected what I was going for. So it wasn't something I had to fabricate. It was my personal story. And I feel it really, it was compelling for the review team to look at. So I started early. And funny enough, when I was to submit, or when iSI came out, we were to report to camp, NYSC camp, the next week. So because I already had all my materials, I quickly uploaded everything. My essays were already ready. So I already uploaded them before I went to camp. So the timing for the portal to close was in February, but I uploaded the first week. So because I started early, I had everything. So if you've not started, it's a good platform for you to make sure you get your things ready as soon as possible. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Gift. So one thing I picked from what he has said is you need to start early. So don't wait 1 week to the end to start writing the statement of purpose or your personal statement. You know, these essays are not, don't think it's something you can just write overnight and I'm just going to do it. start now and continue to review it every day, or I don't know, as many times as possible. Elizabeth. Can you hear me? Okay, so something is happening at the other side of the world again. Ogonna. Okay, can you hear me? Okay, Toby. So Toby, do you want to share your?
Okay, thank you. Can you hear me now, please?
Yes, I can
Okay,
hear
apologies
you.
for my network. I'm at my
No
parents'
problem.
place. Thank you. Okay, so basically, I believe basically four things. One, I believe it's the research experience. The fact that I work at a place that is doing what I want to go and study. So it makes me have content for my SOP. And also I sent my SOP out a lot. I was able to now communicate with current iSI guys that won it when I was applying via LinkedIn. So I just went to LinkedIn. I looked at the list of the applicant that won and I searched their name on LinkedIn and I messaged them to review my documents, review my SOPs, review my CV and everything. They made corrections. I went back, corrected back, gave it to them, and they were okay with it. I believe that was like my strong point. The fact that I was able to meet them and speak with them, and they were able to help me also. And also, my commenders, one of them was my supervisor at work, and the other one was the professor that supervised my project. So I have rapport with them, kind of. I was more like in their good book. So if you are going to look for someone that recommends you, make sure it's someone that you've worked together with. They can testify to your good works. And as a matter of fact, some of them might not even know the things you've done, maybe the part that you volunteer and all of that. So you can make most of them even ask for your CV, so you can show them your CV so that they can okay, you are the one that did this, because most of them, their lecturers, it looks like they are far up and we are down somewhere. Though they know you, but they don't really know what you did when you were in the department. Probably you were in the sports, all those kind of volunteering, because like Faida said earlier, grad school is not about book, because you will break down at the end of the day. So all the things you did, scholarship you won and everything, you can list it in your CV and send it to them. So that by the time they are writing it out, they will know how to put it together. So make sure you make sure what you're writing your SOP is something like expected for you to go and study, and that is kind of research related. And also make sure you give people your SOPs to review for you, let them see, because you don't know it all. So let people read it for you, give you feedback and all of that. I believe that those were my basic, these are the basic things that I did that helped me.
Wow, Toby, it's like you put in so much effort, and I guess it's because you felt like, oh, I'm competing with first-class students.
Yeah, do you understand? So I felt I needed to do more. Like I needed to make it look like I'm applying to schools already, because I was like, okay, if I'm going to, I have to go beyond the normal guys for me to do it. And when I won it, I was really encouraged.
That's really the way to go. That's the way to go.
I was really encouraged, and I felt, okay, if I can stand out of 800 students, imagine if I apply to grad school and all of that. I think.
Yeah, that's awesome. So Elizabeth, do you share yours now? Okay. For some reasons she's unable to, but I hope she's able. She's gonna join us again. Yes. So I believe we've heard from everybody. Ogonna, I think we've not heard from you.
Find that.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Who wants to go first? Okay, Mercy, please go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, I just want to mention something about the recommendation letter. You're submitting recommendation letters for the iSI application, and also considering the fact that you submit for the graduate school application. So I just want to say that whosoever will be recommending you should be somebody who is willing to write. Like somebody was telling me of recent that the person she told to write recommendation for, like the person, I think there is this template they have already. So they just put in your name, and then, send it to graduate school and all. But luckily for her, the referee was like, okay, let me send it to you. And, it was so funny. She had to find out that the referee was putting E instead of she, put another name, like something like, so you have to give, the person that will be recommending you should be somebody who is, willing and interested in your pro, who will want to take the time out to write extensively about you, and who can also attest to your, present achievements and even the past achievements. So thank you.
Thank you so much for giving us that undiluted tip. Mercy. Ogona, please go ahead.
All right. Thank you, Fahidat. So basically, I think I would just end with two major things. That is, and not really anything different, but just to restate what has been earlier said regarding your personal statement and then your recommendation letter. Yeah. Now, the personal statement, or one thing I did when I applied for iSI was that I tried to be very creative with the way I told my story. So I wasn't just telling them that I did this and then that, but I tried to add some flavor into it, because the thing is, it's not just you applying, it is a competition. That is the truth. And if you're not able to first of all understand that you are not applying for a scholarship that that is awarded to you because you have a first class, but you're applying for a scholarship that is awarded to you on a very competitive framework, then I think it will give you some level of, you put some level of seriousness when you're trying to put together your personal statement. So my personal statement was serious business for me, and I took out time to write it. And as much as possible, I cannot state this enough, especially for those of us who have first-class degrees. Please, it's not the time you start telling us how you were the best student in the whole world and all that. It's already in your CV. And I see that a lot. That is why I'm trying to state it here. Your CV has done that. And there is this analogy my iSI scholar was saying to us then, that most of the time people restate their CV in their personal statement. But she said something, that your CV is just what attracts your employer or your reviewer, whatsoever, the committee. Your CV is the first thing that possibly attracts them to you. But what really gets them to know you and gets them to know all the processes you have gone through that has brought you to where you are, and possibly will take you to what, and to see whether if you have enough motivation for where you want to be tomorrow, is your personal statement. And she told us something then, that if you go to the market, for example, sorry, I just want to state this quick analogy. If you go to the market to buy something, you see a lot of options. For example, you want to buy Gary, for those of you that love Ijebu Gary like me. So you see a lot of options. And one of the first factor that will define which shop you enter is just the beauty of the Gary you are seeing. So it takes you to the store you want to go to. But that you go to the store does not mean you will buy it at the end of the day. When you see the process of frying the Gary, you could get very disgusted and then leave. That is how she painted it for us. Your CV is just that very flashy thing that attracts you to the store. But what will now make you eventually settle for that product is the processes you have gone through. And that is what I think should be in your personal statement. What are the processes you've gone through? What are the experiences you have gathered that brought you to where you are, which is in your CV? Yeah. And basically your competencies and all that. And lastly, your recommendation, please, as much as possible. One thing that I really appreciate Mercy for stating is the fact that you should go to lecturers or professors who are willing to write. Some opportunities I lost them because of recommendations. I remember my lecturers will always write, he's a good boy, he knows how to speak English, he got good grades and all that. Please give him whatever help he needs to get. Please, you don't want lecturers who will write that for you. So if you don't have a relationship with them, it's still a new year. Send them your Happy New Year messages. Send them Happy New Month messages. Greet them Happy Sunday, and then thank them for being very wonderful people. And I'm sure that you'll get 1 or 2 persons who'll be willing to at least give you some very good response. Yeah.
So to reiterate that, start building relationships. That's just it, because you would need references when you're applying to grad school. So I would have Elizabeth speak now. Can you unmute yourself now, Elizabeth? Be able to. Okay, cool. Go on.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, so as past scholars have said earlier, I think what I felt was the strongest for me was my personal statement. My personal statement, I made sure I wrote everything I wanted for grad school. I talked about my motivation, the reason I studied psychology, and what I wanted to do in grad school, and what I'll do after grad school, and the reason I wanted iScholar. I talked about my motivation. Exactly. So your SOP should reflect your motivation because they're investing in you. So the committee has to know that, okay, this person I want to invest in is really serious about grad school, wants to do this. I want to see your motivation in your personal statement. And I remember I gave it to 2 past scholars, I think 2019 scholars to review, just like Gift. I think Gift said it to Toby. I reached out to 2 past scholars, so I gave them my SOP to help me review. For my CV too, I also gave them my CV to help me review. Then also follow instruction. Follow instruction. If they say 500 words, make it 500. There is no 505. I remember like doing when I was on the portal, I kept on cutting words, because I wanted it to be 500 on the dot. 500. If they say 500, make it 500. Don't say I have a lot to put. If I don't put this one, they will reduce my mark or something. Follow instruction. There's always a price for following instruction. Follow instruction, do the right thing, and do your best. As you do your best, and you probably come emerge as a winner too.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth. You know, she has kind of even given you how to structure your personal statement. She said she talked about her motivation for studying psychology, what she wants to do in grad school, what she wants to do after grad school, and why she needs the iSI scholarship. So thank you so much for sharing that, Elizabeth. So we'll be rounding up now. I'll try to go through the chat section to see if we have questions that we've not responded to. But if you joined us a bit late, this session is available on our YouTube channel, so you can always go back to watch the session again and the parts that you've missed. So there is a question about call-up letter, NYSC call-up letter. What if the call-up letter is not ready before the application deadline date for the fresh graduates going for NYSC this year? So if you don't need your NYSC call-up letter at the time you're applying for the iSI scholarship. So you need your NYSC call-up letter So you need your NYSC call-up letter or anything NYSC if you were selected for the iSI scholarship. So if you're selected, we would request, if you've not submitted anything like your NYSC certificate or call-up letter, we would request for that. So
it's a train going through your house. We can hear you. I think you can go ahead. It's okay. You have no control over that.
So I actually live close to like a rail track, and the train is passing. That's why I apologize.
It's not your fault.
Yes, so I think we've responded to as many questions as possible. For people asking questions related to grad school applications, so we have so many resources for you. The iScholar guide, even on our YouTube channel, we have sessions that we've done last year, and we're still going to even do those kind of sessions this year. So you can always go back there to watch it. Difference between personal statement and statement of purpose. Do you need to write GRE, TOEFL, or IELTS for grad
So
school?
there's this sorry,
yes,
sorry, Ms.
Wadawashi.
Yeah, there's this question that kept looping around about the validity of GRE and TOEFL.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I saw that. That's why I'm kind of referring the person to our channel to watch, because we've done sessions about that. But I could just respond to that. How many year validity does GRE, TOEFL, and IELTS have? So GRE is 5 years, TOEFL and IELTS are 2 years. You learn that other proficiency tests can be written. It depends on the grad school that you're applying to. So you always have to go to the grad school to check if they to know what exams they accept. So I hope in the last 90 minutes or so, we've been able to respond to as many questions as possible. If not, you can always go to our website in the scholarship application FAQ. We've done our best to load questions and answers that you possibly have. And then, so at this point now, we would just share some best practice tips with you. So this is all we've been saying. Elizabeth has said it, Mercy, Toby, Gifts, Ogona, they've all said this. Start early. Start collating your application materials. You have 4 weeks. If you're just hearing about the iSI scholarship and then you join this session to know whether it's sort of fit for purpose for you or something, if it's fit for you, you still have 4 weeks to be able to collect your application material. Honestly, inform your referees early. Start informing them from like this minute. Even I'm sure some people have started informing their referees since last year. I know last year was just like 2 days ago. But inform your referees early and read instructions carefully. 500 words is 500 words. If you have more than 500 words to write, I told you there is another section on the iSI portal where it says other skills and experiences or career goals. So what you feel like you were not able to put in your personal statement, you can put it there. And then if you're wondering what the iSI application portal looks like, we had a session last year, like an application workflow. So if you go to the iSI 2021 information session on our YouTube channel, you would see there's a part of that video that explains the application portal workflow. So when you go from this page to that page and this page and that page and all of that, so you can also go to that resource. And don't forget, you can go through the application FAQ on our website, or you can reach out to us via email for any inquiries. And I want you to know that now we are currently receiving a high volume of inquiries and requests and all of that, and we're doing our best to respond to them as quick as possible. So please give us as much time as possible. So that's the best practice tip, and we'll take the closing remark now. But before that, I just want to say thank you to everyone, to the panelists, Mercy, Toby, Elizabeth, Gifts, and Ogona. Thank you so much for giving time to come here and share your experience about iSI scholarship application. To Mr. Fajot, Lou, and Dr. Oje, thank you so much for taking time out to talk about iSI evolution, the application procedure, and all of that. And to other management committee members, the president, Mr. Ugumola, Dr. Akombi, thank you so much for taking time out to be here, and every other management committee member on the call. And to other iScholars on the call who have been responding to the questions in the chat box and all of that. Thank you so much, guys, for doing that. And like someone said, you should build relationships. I'm sure a lot of people here actually have friends and all that are iScholars. So you can always reach out to them to whenever you possibly want to reach us. So now we will take the closing remark, and I would ask Dr. Akombi to kindly give us a final remark.
Good morning, everyone. Again, like Faida said, we want to appreciate everyone who has taken the time to join us on this session. Two things that I want to just make mention quickly, and I want to tag this as not like a cheat sheet kind of, but everyone has spoken about it. If you take a look at the requirement for the applications, it includes application itself, your resume or CV, your transcripts, letter of recommendations, and your statement of purpose. If you look at the statement of the CV, the transcript, your transcript will always be your transcript. Your 2-1 will always be your 2-1. Your first class will always be the first class. nothing can change. However, as everyone has said, some of the previous scholars, your statement of purpose and your recommendation, those two are the big thing that will encourage. The others are very important, but like Ogona and the other people alluded to, that's where you can tell your story. I'm speaking to you as one of the people that have reviewed these applications in the past and will also probably be one of the people that will be doing this for this session. So again, put all your effort, put everything you have. Don't just go online and copy somebody else's statement of purpose or study guide or, like everybody said, letter of recommendation. Make sure that you put everything you have and you can afford on those 2 or 3 things, and also on your resume. But again, I'm just putting this out to you just to help you. The other thing I want to say, I think Dr. Oje and some of the other speakers also mentioned about this, is the fact that this award is an holistic one, whereby we do an holistic review. There is no my uncle or my auntie is on the review board or anything. It's whatever you put in that you're going to get. Nobody knows anyone. So we are doing, this is strictly on merit. And that was why I answered the question with regard to somebody who said 2-2. The reason we don't consider 2-2 is the fact that we want to be fair. Or the reason why we don't consider second degree, master's degree, or PhD or diploma is because we want to be fair. We want to make it a playing field for everybody, and we limit this to the consideration of the degree to first degree. So again, when you are putting your application, have a mindset that you are putting in an application for a review that is strictly on merit, and whatever you get, the result or outcome of it, be rest assured that everyone that take a look at your application, they did it or they are doing it with a fair and open-minded, without any favor. So again, I cannot but say I want to wish you all the very best. Like everyone has said, start early, get in touch with your recommendation, your referees. Don't just give to anybody. I saw someone mentioning, can you put in a retired professor? And one thing I've seen in the past is people tend to put in professors as referees. No, it doesn't have to be. You could choose somebody who is an assistant lecturer, someone who knows you, someone who is just it doesn't have to be an emeritus professor, or somebody you work with, somebody in your church, somebody in your mosque, somebody where you volunteer to write a recommendation, a personal recommendation for you. So as I won't want to take your time, again, I wish you guys all the very best. On behalf of iSI, we thank you all for coming to this session, and I wish you a very successful year 2020. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. And honestly, I don't think any other person or could give you as much tips as Dr. Akombi has given you right now. You just like capped it all. Thank you so much, sir. So thank you so much, everyone. We hope that you found this session very useful, and we wish you all the best in your iSI scholarship application in 2022. And we look forward to possibly receiving some of you as iScholars. And you can always look out for our webinars and sessions that we have specifically on grad school applications and life in grad school and all that. And someone here already said that no provision for undergrad. So right now I'm going to go back to the team and be like, we have to come up with something for the undergrads. So thank you so much, guys. Thank you for staying with us till now, and we wish you all the best. So
Okay,
Great job, Faida.
Afis, could you stop sharing on YouTube? I'm not the host, so I think I can stop it. I want